Hello, I am Jamila. Oh. Hello, I am Jamila Naila, and in this video, I'm talking about how today is not your tomorrow. What you're going through today is temporary. What you're dealing with right now is not permanent. Where you are in this moment in time is not your final destination. And if you are one of those people right now, you're struggling, you're stressed out, you're worried, you are feeling a lot of pressure, you are having deadlines, you're feeling like you just can't catch a break, you're starting to become overwhelmed, the anxiety is creeping in, the depression is starting to settle into you, and you are just calling out to God because you need that lifeline, you need that support, you need Him to just give you a breakthrough. I want to remind you that it's not permanent, it's temporary. And I know in the moment, it probably is feeling like, this is something that's lasting forever. And it feels like it's been going on for a while. And I'm sure you don't know when God is going to show up. You're probably wondering if He will even show up. And He will. He will. God, He promised us that He never forsakes us. And if He is never going to forsake us, that means He's always with us. And we know that He's always with us all the time. It may feel like it. We'll lend ourselves to believe what the enemy is trying to tell us. They'll sow that seed of doubt within us where we start to question God and His authority and His promise. And I know it's hard. I know firsthand how hard it can be to hold on to faith when you are drowning with problems, stress, worries, anxieties, and one issue after another, and it starts to compile and you feel like you're just sinking and getting deeper and deeper and deeper into where you feel like, am I ever going to be able to come up? Will I catch a break? I almost feel like I can't breathe. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know a way out. I can't see a way out. I am crying out and calling out to God, but I don't think he's hearing me. I don't even know if He's listening. I'm not seeing a response. I don't see my situation changing. And you start to lose hope, even lose faith at times, even feel like, maybe this is it. Maybe I should give up. Maybe I should stop trying. Maybe, I don't have any purpose. Maybe I am not even going in the direction I'm supposed to go in. Maybe I'm just hitting a brick wall, because I'm just so lost and off track. And it does feel like He's not listening. That can, be very discouraging when you're in that situation and you feel like you need God, but you don't feel Him. You don't see Him. You don't recognize His presence, even though He's promised that He's always there. And I did a video about, His silence is not absent. So check that out later on. But again, I want to reiterate that just because you don't feel or believe that His presence is there, His silence does not mean that He is absent. And what a lot of times is happening is God is using that quiet moment to strengthen your faith and to rely on Him completely. And it's hard to focus on, the fact that, okay, even though I don't feel God, I don't see Him, I have no real confirmation that's tangible that He's with me through this turmoil and chaos and this time where I'm feeling just so alone and lost. But, my faith tells me He's there. And we all know faith is the belief of what is not seen. And so when you don't see God, this is where your faith needs to kick into overdrive. This is where you have to rely on your faith to do that work and believe without, the confirmation that you want or need. And again, it is not easy. It's not easy at all. But it can give you one of the best testimonies of your life when you decide to kick that faith into full gear, and then you decide to just go forward, even with the fear, even with the uncertainty. You keep moving, you keep going in that direction. You're scared, you're nervous, you don't know a way. You don't even know if your foot is going to hit solid ground, but you keep walking in that faith. And that's where God will show you exactly who he is, what only he can do. And you'll know without a shadow of a doubt how real he is. And then you will have that testimony to share with someone else, because these times, they're not just a one-off. You're going to always have moments where you are feeling or going through whatever is going on in your life, and you need God, and you feel like he's not hearing you, he's not listening, but yet he's there. And these are the moments you'll have to recall on to remind yourself, I've been through this before. I had a situation that happened, a while ago, and I thought, I didn't know a way, and God showed up right on time. You got to remember that, because the enemy wants you to forget. The enemy's number one thing is to sow chaos and confusion. And when you are confused and unsure and you start to doubt, you lose faith, you lose hope, and the enemy wins. But as long as you have that faith, and as long as you believe, and as long as you keep moving forward, God is with you every step of the way. Because it's not over until God says it's over. Now, you may say it's over. You may want to quit, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be over. And I, for one, I'm so curious. I want to see, what does God have for me? Today, right now, I'm right here, and, things can change quickly. Things can change suddenly, because that's the kind of God we serve. Amen. Anything that God wants to do is his will. So if where you are right now is not where you want to be, then keep moving. Because if you are not where you want to be, and you decide you're going to be stuck there, but you got to move through this storm, because nothing grows without the storm. The flowers, the trees, everything, they have to go through the storm to get wet, to get that rain, that nourishment. They need to be watered to grow. Your storm is what strengthens you. Your storm is the water that you need for your growth. Your storm is what is going to increase your faith, because when the storm passes and you come out of that storm all blooming and just full of life, that's proof that God was still there with you. And that storms come and go. You're not just going to have, a life without any storms. We all want that. And God never promised us that. What he has promised us is that he's with us all the time. So if you are going through a storm right now, guess what? That really means God is working on you. God is growing you. That's what he's doing. And that's a way to look at that and to shift your perspective from the negative to one full of faith, one in believing God and understanding his promise to you. Because if you're in a storm, you know that he's preparing you, he's growing you, he's increasing your faith So that tells me when I'm in my storm that I got something to look forward to, because this is preparation. God is preparing me for something great. So whatever it is that, is on the other side of this storm, I need what this storm is going to provide. So if it's testing my patience, I need patience when the storm passes. If it's testing, my faith, that means I need more faith for what God has for me, because he wants to give me something that's going to require me to just believe 100% in him. And I can't have any doubt in my mind, because it says faith the size of a mustard seed. A tiny mustard seed sized faith. It's what moves mountains. Now imagine you have faith the size of the mountain. So if the mustard seed faith can move a mountain, what is that mountain sized faith going to do? Think about it. What is that faith the size of a mountain capable of moving? It's capable of changing your entire world. It is. That's world changing faith. So where you are right now, it's not permanent. And the enemy wants you to believe that. The enemy comes to steal joy, wreak havoc, to take hope away. And God, he comes to give us life more abundantly. He has plans for us. That's one of my favorite verses, Jeremiah 29:11. And I believe in it wholeheartedly. So because of that verse alone, I know that no matter what I am going through, God has a plan for me. Nobody can make me believe anything differently. And I encourage you all to study that verse. And this is a time when you're dealing with everything you're going through. Draw closer to God, because he's your anchor. He's your lifeline. He's the only one that's going to get you through that tough time. And when you get through that tough time, don't forget that he brought you through it, because you're going to need to rely on that same strength, that same mentality, that same hope and faith, because another storm is coming. Because the enemy doesn't take a day off, and God doesn't either. So you have to stay prayed up. You have to keep your faith armor on at all times. The best way to combat all of these things is to put God first and have an attitude of gratitude. Right now, there are some things I'm going through. Very stressful situation. And I got so close to the point where it's like, maybe I want to give up. I'm so tired, just tired of, striving and trying to get ahead. And it seems like every single time I think I have a breakthrough, and I think, my feet are finally on solid ground, the rug is like pulled from beneath me, and it's like I feel like I'm just reeling and falling and in a free fall. And it takes a lot. People don't understand the strength you have to have that faith, and not just the faith, the courage, the fearlessness to go forward. Even though you're scared, even though you're tired, even though you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what is going on, you just know where you are, you cannot stay stuck there. And for me, I think to myself, okay, I'm not comfortable. I don't like this situation. I'm praying to God, what do I need to do? How do I get out of this? How do I get to, where I need to be? What do I need? What am I missing? Mold me, shape me, prepare me, guide me, give me what I need, open my eyes, because right here, right now, I cannot do it. And I refuse to believe that this moment where I'm stressed out, where I am worried constantly, where I'm feeling unstable and insecure about life, I know that my God who loves me so much does not want this for me either. And so then I have to say, okay, then I got to keep going forward because I'm not going backwards. I'm not going backwards. I don't go backwards for anything. When I think about going backwards, I think about Lot's wife. And nothing God has for me is behind me. Whether it's a relationship, a friendship, a job, if I left it behind, it stays there. I burn bridges. I don't look backwards at all. And so I say to myself, I got to keep moving forward because going backwards not an option. Staying here, standing here, and just letting everything continue to pile up on me and feel overwhelmed and just like I'm drowning. I have to muster up the strength, the courage, the determination, the tenacity to move forward no matter what. And in my mind, I feel like I'm just clawing my way up the rough side of the mountain. Because, when you're tired and you're fatigued and it's like you just are using that last bit of strength to just go a little bit further, even if it's just an inch, maybe that's all I can do today, but I'm still moving forward. And I found that when I'm able to do that, every single time God makes a way. As long as I can just move a little bit forward, I know that God is going to meet me where I am and provide what I need to keep going. And so I hope this encourages you. It's not easy by a long shot, but it's possible. And all things are possible with God. Not some things, not a little bit of things, not things that, we feel like are easy, but all things, the big things, the small things, the hard things, the tough things, everything is possible with God. So there's no reason for you to think that where you are right now in this moment is it. It's not. It is not. You know that all things are possible with God, then He can shift your entire world in the blink of an eye. If you just stop and think about the weather, how quickly that changes. God can change the weather. Why wouldn't He change your life? And I'm sure if you're a faith-filled person, and if you're not a faith person, I know for a fact that you have something that has happened in your life where it was like, that was nothing but God. Nothing. I can't attribute it to anything but the work of God. That right there is your proof, your sign. Now, if you want another miracle like that, you have to believe that it's going to happen, and you have to move in the world like there's nothing else that will happen but that miracle. And again, it's not easy. It takes a lot of strength, determination, faith, but it's doable. And the goal is, was my goal, because I think I'm there. I'm not going to say I'm 100% there, but the goal is to get to the point where the devil, the enemy, cannot shake you no matter what. Like it could come and grab you, but you are steadfast in your faith and you are unmovable because you know God. You know Him. You know Him. You know what He's done for you. You know what He's promised you. You know that even though you're not feeling great right now, you're uncomfortable, unsure, you know that God is with you at all times. And there's nothing for you to fear. The only thing you should fear is the Lord. And that He loves you. And whatever situation you're in right now is temporary. It's not going to last forever. It may feel like it, but it's not. It's temporary. This too shall pass. And what is that other verse? Joy comes in the morning. And all of it comes and it's all for your good. And so if you need that encouragement, you need the boost of faith, I suggest that you get my journal for one. I have a 30-day devotional journal, and every day it gives you a Bible verse. And along with that Bible verse, there's a reflection prompt that encourages you to dig deeper, not just go surface level with God, but to really dive into the scripture and get an understanding and start to break it down to the point where you fully know what it means to you. How do you embody his words? When you read Jeremiah 29:11, what does it truly mean to you? Not what you've been told, not what you've been taught, what you feel, how it impacts you, how you have applied it to your life. Not only that, and I encourage you, this is another thing, because whether you are at a church, Bible study, anything, people interpret things differently. And we can take those interpretations, but at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, we all have our own personal relationship with God. So my relationship with God is not the same one that you have. How I view God is not how you view him. How you understand and relate to God is not the same way that I will relate and go to God. But it doesn't mean that God is not listening to each and every one of us. We're all his children. He knows what each one of us needs. He knows that, I need to hear him when I'm laying in bed. That's when I'm open and ready to receive him. And that's when I'll get clear. Or when I do journal, he knows that when I put pen to paper and I just let my thoughts and emotions just flow out, he knows that I'm there and ready to receive his guidance. And that may be some people when they're driving. They may want to listen to some spiritual motivation. And that's where God meets them there. Or if they're out walking or gardening or meditating, any of that. Now, I also have a Christian meditation bundle that comes with 10 guided audio meditations that are recorded over a soothing melodic tone. Each one is 5 to 10 minutes in length. And it also comes with a breathwork guide and a journal. All three of those are included in that bundle. But meditation is something that I used to think was just a crock of baloney. I'm thinking, meditation. I thought meditation and yoga. I thought yoga was boring because I was like, you're just sitting there breathing. What is that? But I tried it and I enjoyed it. It felt good because I didn't realize it was stretching. And stretching releases a lot of tension that you have when you're tight and kinked up. And, I carried a lot of tension in my shoulders. Even now, I need to just relax. But I did the yoga. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Matter of fact, I need to go back. But prior to me actually having that lived experience with yoga, just from an outside point looking in and just, judging it without even trying it, I thought it was just sitting around breathing. But it was a way more intense experience. And the same goes for meditation. I thought meditation did not serve a purpose or would not serve a purpose for me. I didn't understand it, but once I tried it, and with, the regular meditation, it's all about getting still and emptying your mind. But with faith-based meditation, it's about filling your mind with God and his word and understanding of his word. And so I enjoy the faith. I enjoy both of them because with the regular meditation, it helped me clear out my brain. I had a lot of thoughts swirling around, and I'm sure some of you can relate to you have so many things going on in your brain. I got to remember this. I got to do this. I have this schedule, and it can get, just like, wait a minute now. Even with I'll write stuff down, but it still doesn't have write it down. Have it in the calendar. It's on my phone. I get a notification. I get an email alert. And it's like it's still not enough hours in the day for everything that I have to do. And those were the times where I needed to just reset my brain and clear my mind. Now, once I did that, and then it's like, okay, let me go deeper. Let me bring God into the fold. Let me, now that my mind is clear, let me refill it with what is substantial to my soul. What do I need that's going to nourish me spiritually? And that's when I did the faith-based meditation. And with the breathwork guide in my bundle, one of the prompts that I do is breathe in and you hold it. So on the breathe in, you say, God is with me. Release it. I'm never alone. And that you do that 4 times or however many times you need until the peace of God transcends over you. And you believe it and you know it. And this goes back to when I spoke about that unshakable faith, to where the enemy just can't come to you with any old thing. They can't come through and say, hey, you get a phone call. We're about to turn your water off. A few years ago, that would have had me stressed out. Why are you turning my water off? I don't have the money. I need my water. Now, if someone called me talking about, turning my water off, I would not get upset because I know God, and I know that, it has to be a mistake. It has to be. So, whatever is going on, I'm sure you're going to figure it out. Thank you for calling. And that's that. Now, the things that used to send me off the deep end, it just rolls off my back like water on a duck, because I know God. And I know he didn't bring me this far to leave me. I know he didn't bring me this far to just have me just come this far. Because this is not it. I just know it's not. So, and one thing, I had this talk with myself, about 11, 12 years ago. I was at a point in my life where I felt like, I was just at the lowest point. And I thought to myself, is this it? Is this all God has for me? And it's like, maybe this is what God wants for me, to be here without a car, looking crazy, bored. Maybe this is the life. But then I looked around at my circumstances and my situation and where I was. And I said, God is going to have to come out this sky and tell me, no, this is it, because I refuse to be stuck here. And I said to myself, this may be God's plan, but I don't believe that. And I'm going to keep on going. And if it's not his plan, he's going to have to come down and stop me himself. And guess what? He didn't. And I kept going. And that's how I got to where I am today. And again, I reiterate to you over and over, it was not easy. But the alternative of being stagnant and staying where I was, I just couldn't do it. So I had to move forward. And I remember people would say, well, what made you decide to do this? It's like, because I did not want to stay where I was. I couldn't imagine my life the way it was. I did not see myself in that situation forever. And so If you are in that pit of life right now where you are so destitute, you feel lonely and just like nothing is going your way, and you're depressed, you're scared, you're angry, you're upset, you're confused, you're lost, you're overwhelmed, you're stressed out, but you are feeling all of this, but this is not where you want to stay. That's not where you want to stay, because God is telling you, I'm not going to leave you there. So the fact that you even realize that you don't want to be there, that is your indication that God is not going to leave you there. Because you think, and maybe some people where you look at them, it's like, wow, they've been doing the same thing for like the last 10, 12 years. And, not to be judgmental, because some people are content with where they are in life. And that's a wonderful thing. And then you do know or see those people where that life is not treating them well, and they don't look happy. They don't appear to be satisfied. And maybe they've even shared with you that they're unhappy and not, okay with where their life is or how things have turned up. But then, you'll talk to these people and you'll make suggestions to them about how they can improve their circumstances. And, you just listen to them complain, and you're offering them suggestions and advice, and they will have more problems for every solution you give them. That's because that's where they want to stay. It's easy for them to stay stuck there complaining, because, now to come out of that, you're going to have to dig deep and do some work. And they don't really want to do that work. They want to just continue to have that pity party. And so they stay stuck there. But it never crosses their mind to say, you know what, I don't have to stay stuck here. I want more. God, help me. I'm calling out to you. Or they don't, have that wherewithal to think, what can I do, or what do I want to do, or, as if they don't have an option. And God has given us free will. God has given us the ability to make choices, and we can choose Him. We can choose to believe His promises. We can choose to have faith. We can choose to keep moving forward and lean on Him. We can choose to decide that we're going to get to know Him better and understand His word. We make that choice. So if you are actively choosing God, and you're actively choosing to follow His word, you're actively choosing to have faith and believe in His promises, then God is going to show Himself to you. And you're so activated in God that when this starts to happen, you're going to start seeing God show up in everything, every single thing, everything. He's going to be everywhere, because, what you look for is what you find. So if you want solutions, God's going to show you the solutions. If you want excuses and problems, He's going to show you that too. But it's up to you to make the decision. And your faith is the same way as anything. What you feed grows. So if you feed your faith, it's going to grow. You feed it positive affirmations. You feed it the word of God. You feed it, scripture. You feed it inspiration that you see throughout the day. And this is a true story. I remember, this goes back to, again, where I was in my life about 10, 12 years ago. And I had this job that, it was a job. It was all right. And for me, the thing is, with any job, it's not the job, it's the people and the attitudes that I have to deal with at that job. So I'm working at this company, and it had gotten to the point where my coworkers were just It was just a lot of gossip and nonsense. And so to not be a part of that, I didn't smoke. I actually did smoke, but I quit smoking while I worked there. So I no longer went out on smoke breaks and, talked about whatever. And so it was pretty much once I quit smoking, I put like it created a distance between myself and a few of the girls that I did like kind of have a friendship with or whatever. And so of course, with anything, when you try to better yourself, people take that as an indication that you are looking at them as if you are judging them for smoking. And it's like, no, you are judging yourself and projecting that onto me. And that's your body. That's your life. You do what you want to do, but I don't want to do it. I'm not thinking about you and your body. When you smoke, it doesn't affect my lungs. So I quit smoking. So I wasn't going out there. And so then, some people can be so petty and catty and childish and silly. And it would get to the point where since I'm not smoking with them, they didn't want to have lunch with me and try to shut me out. And so I started listening. I started putting my headphones in. And a lot of times I would put the headphones in, but I wouldn't listen to anything. And I would do just so you would leave me alone. But then I was like, you know what? Let me stop playing and stop, being petty also. So I started to listen to a lot of inspirational messages. At that time, I had started listening to like Joel Osteen and TD Jakes. And YouTube will have those faceless channels where they have the little voice saying like positive stuff. I would listen to that all day long at work. So at least 7 hours. And I would just listen to them over and over. And if you've ever, and prior to this, I had never listened to Joel Osteen or TD Jakes, but mostly I listened to Joel Osteen. And a lot of his stuff was more inspirational and motivational, in my opinion. But it really helped me to change my mindset. And that was where I was feeding my mind and my spirit positivity. And it helped me get through that time because that was a horrible time. And I'm at work all day long, and if you work outside of your home, you spend a good chunk of your life with the people you work with. So if you're in a space where it's not comfortable or, it's not a good environment that adds to positivity or whatever, it can be kind of uncomfortable. And so to counter that, listening to that, not only did it help me at work, it helped me throughout the rest of my day, because then when I came home, I would let it play in the background while I would clean, or if I had to do some check my emails or something, it was just background noise. And I learned and felt that I was happier. I wasn't, just feeling kind of sad and gloomy or down a lot. I had a more positive outlook on life. And I got to the point where when I stopped listening to it and I started to listen to the radio or watch the news, it was like a shock to my system. It was like I touched one of those barbed wire electrical fences, and it was like, wait a minute, it was too much. Especially the news, it was like, oh my gosh, I could not do it. And even to this day, I will look at a little news to see what I need, but I can't and take all that in. And once I started doing that, I started to notice the shift in my spirit. And I was able to pick up on every little thing that made me feel out of alignment. And that was God working on my soul, my spirit, and weeding out, what didn't belong, what was not serving my greater purpose and not serving, pushing me to be the best version of myself. And so when I talk about feeding yourself, it's not just what you eat, what you listen to, it's everything you ingest spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, all of that goes into your soul. And so you have to be mindful. And not only that, your relationships with, friends, family, people, how do they impact you? Are they lifting you up? Are they pouring into you? Are they helping you be a better version of yourself? Or are they constantly trying to figure out how to take from you? Are they draining you? When you're around them, you leave feeling like, woo, what was that? Be aware of how every single thing affects you and the shift you feel when you indulge in it. Because we take for granted how powerful some of these outside influences can be. And I don't know if any of you have been hearing, the term spiritual warfare tossed out there. And I remember when I was started to hear it, I would think it was like, oh, that's just some jibber jabber or conspiracy theory talking or whatever. But now I am looking at it from not a worldly, well, I guess it would be worldly perspective, but those things I mentioned, what you eat, what you consume, what you read, what you watch, who you're around. When you think about it and how it impacts you or makes you feel, it really is a shift to your soul. It really is, things that are coming into your orbit, like snatching little pieces of your soul to where it's like you feel depleted. And it's like, I guess that is like a personal spiritual warfare when I think about it. And, that's why I try my best to stay prayed up, and I try my best to make sure with the meditation I am full of God. That way, my discernment is where it needs to be. Because when I was not, having that close relationship with God, I was second guessing myself. I didn't trust myself. Now that I'm on this walk with God and I'm developing this close relationship with Him, He's given me the power to trust Him. And because I trust God, because I know what He has done for me, and He's shown me who He is, and He's shown me things in my life, and I trust that He is going to always be there for me and protect me and guide me. And because I have my full faith and trust in God, I in turn trust myself. So I trust that He has given me the wisdom to make good decisions. I trust that whatever decision I make is for my good and it's going to benefit me. And I trust that God's promises are real. His word is His bond. So I know that I can't make a mistake. I cannot fail because I trust what He says. And if I trust what He says and I believe in it wholeheartedly, then I walk forward in faith, not scared, not stuck, not second guessing myself. Confidently, I'm walking forward, knowing that God has a plan for me. And so it comes full circle. And that's why I want you to know that where you are today is temporary. Today is not your forever. And I want you to save this video or share it with yourself or something, because I want you to remember where you were and what you're going through right now in this moment, and how you're feeling and what's going on, the circumstances in your life. And I want you to come back to this in 3 months, 4 or 5, 6 months, even in a week, because that's how quickly God can shift things. And then, a matter of fact, journal it. Journal this date. Come back to it. Or if you journal like I do, you go back and read what you've written previously. But come back to this in a few weeks, few months, and I promise you, you're going to remember that, wow, that was temporary. It wasn't permanent. I did come out of it. It did not last. And, God revealed things to me. My faith is stronger. He has once again shown me who he is, because he's a mighty God, very mighty. And, sometimes when my faith falters, then I feel bad, because it's like, God, I'm so sorry I doubted you again when you've given me no reason to doubt you. And even now in this moment, I think I talked about earlier, I'm feeling a little uncertain, and the enemy is, again, I feel like I'm under spiritual attack. The enemy is trying to shake my faith, get me to give up and have a complete meltdown. And what's the word they say? Crash out. But I'm not crashing out, because the devil is a lie and my God is the truth. And I'm going to keep going. And I want you to keep going too, because today is not your tomorrow. It is not. Tomorrow is a new day full of fresh opportunities, new blessings, everything. And I like to look at it. What do they say? Today is a present. It's a gift. And sometimes I do that. Sometimes I'll go to sleep and it's like, you know what? I'll say my prayers or whatever. And then I'll think to myself, I wonder what God has for me tomorrow. What is going to happen tomorrow where God is going to be like, let me just do this for her today. And every time I have that thought, I'm pleasantly surprised. It's like, wow, I wasn't even expecting this. I found $5. Or, it could just be any little thing. And it's like, this is the surprise. Because if you need $5, finding $5 or doing laundry, and it's like, oh, here's $10 that was in the pocket or whatever. Any little thing. And it's those little tiny things that, to me, I take it as a sign that God is saying to me, you know what? Keep going. Keep going. Give you little breadcrumbs. Give you just enough light to put your foot down one step at a time forward in faith. And that's all you need. A lot of the stuff that overwhelms us is we try to do everything ourselves, and we try to take on so much when we just need to take it one day at a time, one moment at a time, one breath at a time, and stop thinking so far out. I know my issue is I will think about stuff and have a whole scenario mapped out in my head, and it's usually the worst case scenario. And this has happened to me a few times this past week. And I'll think, the worst, and when I go ahead and face it full-fledged on, it's nowhere close to what I thought it was. I done made up a whole story in my head, and it wasn't even none of that. It wasn't even anything bad, but I speculated. My imagination ran wild. I let the enemy in to sow that doubt and confusion. And the whole time God was like, girl, relax. It's okay. But thank you all so much for watching. Whoever you are, I appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. I have one on meditation, also how to start a daily devotional habit. And that's going to help you also when you touch base with God daily, not just when you need something, but in gratitude and, going to him for clarity. And the journaling helps with that. Set aside a time every day. And in the video about how to start your daily devotional, oh, you're so welcome, Clara. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching from the Philippines. I am so happy this has touched something in you and you can take it and use it. I hope you're subscribed to the channel. Thank you so very much. But check out that video on how to start a daily devotional. It talks about, setting up a time or habit stacking. And what that means is, let's say you comb your hair every day. So after you comb your hair, you read a Bible verse. Make that part of your habit to do both at the same time. But be sure to check that video out. Also, I have one about how to pray more effectively, 3 keys to effective prayers for breakthrough. That is a very informative video. It has a lot of information on how to get your prayers more powerful and impactful. I also have a video on church hurt. I don't know if any of you have experienced church hurt, dealing with that and how to overcome it. I also have a video on prayers, a prayer for when you are feeling spiritually dry. And so if you're feeling like, you don't know what tomorrow may hold, you're scared, you're nervous, you need a boost of hope and faith, check out that video on the prayer for the spiritually dry. And be sure to get your free download of my daily Bible verse cards. The link is in the description, along with a link to a free prayer journal page and also my 30-day devotional. All those links are in the description below. And go ahead and follow me, like this video, and give me a I needed this in the comments. If this has helped you, just go ahead and type I needed this, and that'll let me know this is something that resonates with so many people, and I'll continue to make more. So you all take care, stay safe, be blessed, and God bless. Bye. Thank you. Oh, it's still live. Clara, thank you. Devon, David. Wow.